Hello, it's Sandisiwe Magadla with another book review. So this week I finally had the opportunity to read a Zadie Smith book, and I have just finished Zadie Smith NW, and I have to say I'm impressed. I'm not sure if this is the best book because obviously it's the first book that I've read of hers, but I am impressed. NW. Okay, the plot summary of NW is that these four individuals who come from the same area in northwest London, hence the book is called NW. This place that they all come from is called Caldwell. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing it right. And the book basically tells us of the encounters and the background and the problems that these four individuals are facing. So at the beginning of the book, we meet Leah, who's Irish and she's white. And she has a husband who's half Algerian and half Guadeloupe or something. I don't know what it is, to be honest. Can't pronounce it. And they're trying to have a baby and everything. The narrative style, at the beginning of the book, when we look through Leah's life, was very jarring for me. I didn't enjoy it. I was like, oh, I'm disappointed. And this was the first time that I was reading a Zadie Smith book. I was like, what is this? Because it's not told in quotation marks. So when the characters speak, there's no quotation marks. There's just dashes. And I was like, oh, I didn't enjoy it at first, but I was like, okay, let me read through. Like, let me give it a chance. It's good to be uncomfortable and everything like that. After Leah, we get to Felix, who is Jamaican, I think. Yeah, I think he's Jamaican, and he has this lover who's also, I'm not sure, I think she's Nigerian, and Felix's life is a mess. He's a former drug addict, and basically the Felix's storyline was just about his day, and then something at the end of his something happens to him, which I won't say because it's going to be a spoiler. After that, we have Natalie, who is Leah's best friend, but there's like tension between them. For Natalie's story, we start like from the very beginning, so when she was still in her old neighborhood, because she's now a barrister and she's like middle class, so she's not as poor as she was. Natalie is first generation Caribbean, and she's a very curious woman. I don't like her because she was very pretentious, and she looked down on her old neighborhood so much. Like, I understand that you want to like not be poor for the rest of your life, but then the way that she looked down at everyone from her old neighborhood was just so annoying. But like, a part of me still liked her. I like her way of telling her story, because with Natalie's part, we didn't have the same narrative style as Leah's. We had the quotation marks, which I'm very comfortable with, as well as for Felix. I forgot to mention that part. And Natalie is sexually curious, which gets her into trouble. And the last bit, which is like very tiny, is Natalie and Nathan, one of her old neighborhood, it's not a friend, but someone who lived in the neighborhood with her. And Nathan is now homeless. I don't know what he is. I think he's a pimp. I'm not sure, like, it's not explicitly said what he does, but when Natalie gets into trouble and she's taking a walk, she happens to bump into Nathan, and yeah, they start walking together and smoking together. And overall, I would give the book 3.5 stars out of 5. There are obviously like pros and cons as usual. My prose is, as much as the narrative style was very jarring, I enjoyed it because it got me out of like my comfort zone. Also, I liked Felix so much actually, and as much as his storyline was very short, I liked that, and I liked most of the characters. Like Zadie was able to describe each of the main characters' feelings and or motives, and I love that because for Leah, I knew that Leah was very unhappy. I knew that Felix was trying to move on from his former life and he was in love, shame. And Natalie was just this pretentious person. And Nathan, oh, I really did not like Nathan. I don't know, like, I can't say the motives because I was expecting so much from Nathan, but like from the beginning when people described him, one of the characters described him, I think it was Leah, I was like, oh, I'm actually looking forward to this character's part. But when we finally got there and like, oh, he's always talking about the past, how this person's not better than him, I'm like, okay, we get it, dude, like seriously, it's annoying. And okay, now to the cons. There are more pros, but time and everything, and I also don't want to spoil it too much. Cons is I hated it when the characters were talking about African, okay, I'm contradicting myself, but then when they're talking about African stuff, African things, I'm like, what exactly are you talking about? Are you talking about Ghanaian print? Are you talking about Nigerian print? Like, what is it? Like, Africa is not this piece of land where we all live together. We also have like borders and everything. And second con, Natalie's part dragged. Like at some point I was like, okay, this needs to end. Some things are very irrelevant. And it was so long. I thought that I wasn't going to get to Nathan's part, and that just, yeah, because of how long Natalie's part was. I also found Natalie's husband very annoying. Okay, that's not a con actually, just because you find her. Sorry. Overall, I'd say this is a very chilled book to read. I'd recommend it for people who are adults and want to read adult fiction. I'd categorize it as adult fiction. Otherwise, that's it, and bye.